At this point, this has to be this has to be like, how is this happening at the same time of the stream every time? Yeah, no, it was on purpose. Look, Voldemort got it. It was because I just tweeted that I started stream, so of course I had to start stream, right? Like, it's, you know. No, but like, seriously, I have no idea why this happens and it's always the same time. It's always the same time. And it's not my internet. It's OBS. I don't know why. I'm gonna look into it. I'm gonna look into this. Maybe it's like an error that, I don't know. I will scour the internet tonight and see if there's a solution for it. I'm sorry once again. Well, the good thing is we were not in the middle of discussing anything super important. But I have not thanked you guys yet. Raw, I'm a dinosaur. Thank you for the 9 months, and Anko 90. Thank you for the 2 months. I appreciate you guys. Welcome back. Welcome back, and well, I mean, here, literally welcome back. So here we are. I will answer you later on Discord, Raw, I'm a dinosaur. I saw your message just now, but I don't get it. I don't get any error message. I don't get a single error message. It just switches to the bitrate at the bottom just switches to 0. And that's that. But okay, anyways. I'll try this again. Morning, how are you doing today? I'm doing good. Like I said earlier, we're gonna do a little bit of a shorter stream today, but we're still gonna do a couple hours. Just to get everything done that I wanted to do for the day. The reason is that we have a guest over. My fiance's dad is visiting us, or was visiting us over the weekend, and today is the last day. So I'm not gonna stream for that long. Of course, short stream did not mean that we were ending after 25 minutes, so that was not planned. Anyways, I'm doing good. Hope your day is also great so far, and hope it only gets better from here on out, because we are doing 2 things today, mainly. We are gonna look at the new cards that were announced over the weekend, because we do have a couple releases from Duelist Nexus, the next main set in the OCG, which is releasing soon-ish. So we're gonna look at that, as well as YCS Lima Recap. YCS Lima Recap is on the menu for today, and I think it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be fun. Let's hop right in. I also saw this morning, which is the German Nationals, or Nationals in general, playmat, because they did announce a lot of Nationals over the last couple days. They did announce a lot of Nationals, and they also opened the ticket sale for German Nationals, for example. I don't know if it's true for the other Nationals as well, but I did see that they opened ticket sales for German Nationals. I already got myself a ticket. So if anyone here is from Germany or planning to attend German Nationals, because of course you don't have to be from Germany to play German Nationals. If you want to get a ticket, there is the ticket sale is open now. As far as I'm aware, there are still tickets. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I don't think the tickets for German Nationals are sold out yet. Anyways, that card apparently is called Protect Code Talker, which I'm not familiar with. Is that a new card? Protect Code Talker. Protect Code Talker is from Cyberstorm Axis. Protect Code Talker is from Cyberstorm Axis. 2+ effect monsters. Your opponent cannot target link 4 or higher linked monsters you control with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by battle. If you control a firewall link, you can banish any number of links from your grave whose total link rating equals exactly 3. Special summon this card from the grave, but banish it when it leaves the field. Okay, so it's like just another You know, it's just another freaking link climbing tool for Cyberses, which you guys know that's my favorite type of archetype. You know, Cybers 1 card combo, link climbing. I love that. You guys know I love that. Absolutely my favorite. But yeah, that's apparently the playmat for this year's nationals. It looks okay in my book. I mean, it's aight. You know, I've seen better playmats. I've seen worse. I'm kind of indifferent about it. Helios, thank you for the 8 months. Welcome back. Appreciate the continued support. 8 months is a long time on using your Prime on the same channel. I appreciate you. Thank you. Anyways, Duelist Nexus cards. Dream deeper with the new Nemurelia cards. Now, if you remember, this is the archetype with the sleeping girl, I think. Yeah. This was the archetype where it was all about, I think, having this thing in your extra deck sleeping. And then you get like other effects. I don't remember all these effects. We're gonna get back to it if these cards are interesting. Let's first see the new cards, right? Nemurelia Realizer, the Dream Materializer Sleeping Princess. The artworks on these is wild. I don't know what this is supposed to resemble. I think it's supposed to resemble some kind of weird dreamland where everything is weird because, like, I mean, look at that artwork. Like, what the hell is going on? This is literally a fever dream. So I guess it's fitting in a sense, but like, she's dreaming of like monsters and candy and whatnot, which is, I guess, all that kids think about. So fair enough. Level 10 Light Theory Effect Monster. Attack 1500, defense 3000. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. If this card is in your hand, you can target a monster you control, place it on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, special summon this card. If this card is special summoned, you can activate one of these effects. Add a Dreaming Nemurelia from your deck to your extra deck face up. Change one other face up monster on the field to face down defense position. Gains 100 attack for each face down card in your extra deck. Okay. I mean, it's worth noting that it is another tutor for the Dreaming Nemurelia into your extra deck, which I think is good for consistency for the deck. The fact that you have to like shuffle in a monster from your field, so this card is always a -1, I suppose, but it can add a Nemurelia. And if you already have it, you can book an opponent's monster, which is like, okay, well, I guess. I mean, it's nothing crazy, but it's aight. Nemurelia's Dream Eater, Reveal. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. If this card is in your hand or grave, you can banish 3 cards from your extra deck face down except Dreaming Nemurelia. Special summon this card. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck the turn you activate this effect except Pendulum monsters. You can send one other level 10 beast monster from your hand or face up field to the grave. Set a Nemurelia trap directly from your deck. Okay. Semi-interesting. I mean, free to summon. Just banish from your extra deck face down. But I guess it depends on how good the trap card is, because I don't think we had a trap card before. Yeah. Nemurelia Love. Normal trap. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. Special summon a Nemurelia monster or a level 10 beast from your hand or deck in defense position, but return it to the hand during the end phase. You can banish this card from your grave, then target a face-up monster your opponent controls. It loses 100 attack and defense for each of your cards currently banished face down until the end of this turn. Okay, so it's an emergency teleport, but as a trap card, which is of course significantly worse, but still not terrible, provided that, for example, this effect now works on your opponent's turn. Right? You can book an opponent's monster. with this if it's summoned on your opponent's turn. This one does not have any disruptive capabilities. I don't remember if any of the others had like a good effect on the opponent's turn. This one does not. And this one, when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets... Jero, thank you for the 6 months. I appreciate you. Thank you. Half a year of great support. Thank you. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets an Emerald card you control, and you have a face-up Dreaming Emerald in your extra deck, you can banish a face-down card from your extra deck face down, negate the activation. Okay, I guess you can also bring out target protection with that. Isn't it Numerelia? It says Nemurelia. It says Nemurelia. This does not feel that good. This archetype in general. I remember reading this for the first time and being like, it's kind of underwhelming. Kind of underwhelming, but like... Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's that great. I mean, so far, Cyberstorm Axis has been released, and I'm pretty sure this set, this like archetype has not done anything so far. Like nothing. And I don't know if these cards will change that. I don't know if these cards are good enough of a second wave of support that like make that deck viable. It doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it. Yeah, the archetype feels like it's quite literally a resident sleeper archetype. Well, okay. Nothing too exciting here. We do also have, and I think that is the last wave of new cards over the weekend. Correct me if I missed anything once again. Evol Tile or Evol Czar support is interesting. Evol Tile Forest. Now, this is a very old archetype. I feel like it's... when did Evols release? Like 2011, right? Dino Rabbit time? That was when Photon Shockwave, I want to say, was the first set of these. 2012. My bad. 2012 was Dino Rabbit. So Photon Shockwave was I think the first set where these came out. So that's over 10 years ago. Over 10 years ago. And they get another wave of support, which I don't even know if they have gotten much in the meantime. I don't think they've gotten a whole lot since 2012. But Evol Tile Forest. So this is one of the reptiles. I believe all the Evol tiles are always the reptiles. Makes sense. And Evol Zors are always the dinosaurs. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can special summon an Evol Tile monster from your hand or graveyard in face down defense position. During your main phase, you can set an Evo Force or Evo Instant from your deck. If a monster you control will be destroyed by a battle or card effect, you contribute a reptile or dinosaur monster instead. Okay, so we got multiple good effects. Special summoning an Evol Tile from hand or grave is nice. It's in face down defense position. Let me read Evo Force and Evo Instant. Evo Force. Let me quickly read up on these because I do think those are older cards and I don't remember their effects. Alright, Evo Force. Tribute an Evol Tile monster. Special summon an Evol Soar from your deck. It is treated as if it was special summoned by the effect of an Evol Tile monster. Okay. So you get the tribute fodder immediately, and you basically get the free special summon from the deck if you take Evo Force. What about Evo Instant? Evo Instant. That's a trap card. Tribute a reptile monster, special summon an Evol Soar from your deck. Okay, so the same thing, but as a trap card. And I remember they had one that was good when it was tributed. Was, I think, Najasho? If this card on the field is tributed, you can special summon an Evolsaur from your deck. Okay, so if you tribute Yugioh, you basically get 2. I remember that. Okay, so I mean, that's a good card. I don't know if that makes the deck good yet. Probably not, but this in itself is a good card. I mean, it's got a lot of potential. It's got a lot of potential because even if you don't have something to summon, you still get the free Evo Force or Evo Instance, but okay. Evolsaur Rios, level 4 Fire Dinosaur. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can set an Evolutionary Bridge or Evo Singularity directly from your deck. Okay, we need to read more. If you control this card that was special summoned by a fire monster's effect or normal summoned, you can send a fire reptile or dinosaur from your deck to the grave. Then you can make the type and level of 2 face-up monsters on the field become the send monsters. Oh. Okay. Now let me first off quickly read Evo Singularity and the other one. Singularity is a trap card. Target an evil tile monster and an Evolsaur monster in your grave. Special summon an Evolzar XYZ from your extra deck, and if you do, attach those monsters to it as XYZ material. Okay, so that is essentially a little bit of a mini Tri-Brigade Revolt. So you just get a free Lagia, Dolka. I think there's more, but those are probably the best ones. Skunky Bliss, thank you for the 5 months. Welcome back. Appreciate that. Means a lot. Thank you. That's not bad. And what was the other one called? Evolutionary Bridge. Evolutionary Bridge. When a monster you control is targeted for an attack, alright, we're not playing that card. We're playing Evo Singularity every time. Okay. I mean, but that's already a pretty good wave of support here. Kono Rubeda, thank you for the Prime. Appreciate you. A new sub to the channel. Welcome. Thank you for the support and making us hit the sub goal. And you know what that means. You know what that means. Pausing the music. Thank you so much for making us hit another sub goal. There we go. Early on in the stream as well. All right, all right. Okay, we're not going to play that. The Joshua, yeah. Ooh. New XYZ in town. All right. New music. Evolzar Raz. Another Evolzar. 2 level 6 monsters. Is that the first Evolzar that is generic? I feel like they always required dinosaurs. Hasn't that always been their thingy? I don't know of any Evolzars that did not require dinosaurs. Dolka, okay, there's only 3. Dolka and Lagia obviously need dinosaurs, and Zolda also needs dinosaurs. Okay, that's the first generic one. Your opponent cannot target this card with material with monster effects. When your opponent activates a card or quick effect, You can detach 2 materials from this card. When your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can detach 2 materials from this card, then target a face-up card your opponent controls, negate its effects until the end of this turn. If all materials attached to this card are reptile and or dinosaur monsters, you can activate this effect by detaching 1 material instead of 2. Oh. Oh. Johan, thank you for the 3 months. Now, who said trash? What the hell do you mean? This is one of the best cards I've seen in a long time. This card's insane. This card is insane. Nah, this card is crazy. Bruh, this card... Let me tell you how this card is so good. Now, it's not what you would consider an Omni Negate. It's not what you would consider an Omni Negate because it cannot negate everything. Like, for example, this card cannot negate Nibiru, just as an example. Because it can only negate cards on the field by targeting them. But what you can do is, it can even negate spell cards. It can even negate spell cards because you can simply detach and then target the spell card and then it's negated. So this card negates basically any spell or any monster on the field. And trap cards, of course, but like trap cards in 2023, like, yeah, it's basically hot red. It's basically hot red, and hot red was a very good card. I mean, it's not like the best form of negation, but it's still very good. And the crazy thing is that this can be, if you are using this in any reptile or dinosaur deck and you can actually make this, you have, it's basically double hot red. It's double hot red if it has reptile or dinosaur monsters as material. But the thing is, you could even make this in like other decks. You can even make this, like, I think this card is already worth it if you just like overlay 2 Bestials or something. Right? At least it says all the materials. Yes, like you do need like a dedicated deck for getting 2 negates out of this, which I think honestly is a... Now that I'm thinking about it, I do like these... I do like this approach in a way. From a design perspective, I do appreciate this idea of making an XYZ monster that is generic, but is a lot stronger if you play it in its own archetype. You know what I mean? Like, the card is not exclusive to Evols, to dinosaur decks or reptile decks, right? You can play it in all the decks if you want to, but it's a little bit weaker, right? And I do think that is like a cool middle way of making a card. Like, I don't like when cards are too generic and too strong in every single deck, you know what I mean? But like, I also don't love when something is like super niche and can only be used in one specific deck, because then if that deck's not good, then they might as well just not have printed the card. So here in this case, I think we have an example of a card that really goes in a nice middle way where I can see this card seeing play in level 6 focus strategies like Bestials. Like, I think that's a very valid, you know, inclusion in those types of decks. But maybe this gives Evolzars a little bit of a shot because like it's a lot stronger, and also of course it can be made with the help of the trap card. Also worth mentioning that this thing is not once per turn. Evo Singularity, that is. Like, this trap is not once per turn. If you can load your grave with Evol Tiles and Evolzars, you can use every single copy of Evo Singularity that you have, which is also kind of nuts to think about. And like, all of the Evolzar XYZs are not once per turn either. So you can make like multiple Lagias, multiple Razes, multiple Dolkas. I don't think you're ever going to make Solda. Solda, quite frankly, is not that good. I mean, there could be matchups. Like, this card cannot be destroyed by card effects. When your opponent special summons a monster, you can detach an XYZ, destroy that monster. That'd be like pretty good against Kashtira, for example. It's pretty good against Kashtira because you can just like, they special Fenrir, I'll pop it. Then they have another unicorn because their field is empty now. I'll pop that too. It's like, it's okay. No, but that's good support. You can't get around Dark Ruler like with Hot Red. You cannot. Yeah, you cannot unless you respond with a spell trap to Dark Ruler, and then they respond to that card. Right? But I do think that a deck that would use Evo Singularity will play around Dark Ruler in some way anyways, right? Like, because if you set up, like, let's say you set up this guy on the field with a set Evo Singularity, you can, like, let them Dark Ruler you and then Singularity later. But I do think that's a very good card even outside of Evil Source. Whether Evil Soar has a chance to compete in itself, I don't know yet. I mean, I'm not super familiar. I remember the old days of like that thingy that was a flip monster. I think Lago Sucho is the name. That like special summons one from the deck, and that was the shit back then. When you had that was like the one you wanted to open. I'm not sure how much it like how it transfers into the current metagame. Just off the back of these cards, of these two, I don't know. They are both good cards. Especially, I think the one that searches the trap is even maybe a little bit better. Like the fact that you can just like start with this, grab yourself the Evo spell card, tribute it, get yourself this thing, and then you get Evo Singularity for free, yada yada. I don't know. It's still like, yeah. Can use Singularity Chainlink 2 and use this one, Chainlink 3, to negate Dark Ruler? You cannot do that. You can do that with Hot Red. But with this one, you can't, because this one requires to be chained to an opponent's effect directly. So if you were to chain a trap card to Dark Ruler, then the activation requirement of this card's quick effect is not met. If they chain to your trap again, something else, then yes. Yeah, then yeah. But otherwise, you do not meet the activation timing, like a Paleozoic trap in the grave or a Thunder Dragon Titan. Okay. I mean, solid stuff for the Evol Zord decks, I suppose, or Evol Tile. I'm not sure if it's enough, but this card, I'm pretty confident in saying that this card will see play at some point. With or without the background of an Evol deck seeing play, I feel like this card in itself, solid potential. All right. Well, let's get into the real deal for today. There was a YCS this weekend in the city of Lima in Peru. As always, there is not much coverage, unfortunately for this. Like, let me quickly check YCS Peru. There's like barely any written coverage, I want to say, if the page loads. As always, they post like, all right, and the page crashes. Perfect. This is the top 32 pairings, but like they only very rarely post anything. But it was won by a player named John Guerrero from Ecuador, who is now apparently a 2-time YCS champion. I did not know that. They only post like some pictures and pairings. But if you look down here, you see one certain combination of words that I did not personally expect in the finals of the YCS. And then you read further, you find yourself reading the same two words again. They played an Adventure Sprite mirror match in the finals, which is kind of crazy. We're gonna see if there's deck lists already. I don't know if there are. There are some. I know there are some deck lists out there already. But that is crazy. I mean, to be fair, YCS Lima I don't think was as big as YCS's in North America or Europe, so it is not as representative as an even bigger event. It was around 600 players, I'm reading in chat right now. But still, even with 600 players, and even with, I don't know about the general level of the playing field, but even with around 600 players, it still is a very respectable result for Sprite. I mean, if we had a 600 player tournament in Europe last weekend, we would also be looking at these decks and find them interesting. So there's that. Adventure Sprite mirror match in the finals, and top 4. I think hold up. Okay, they didn't put the decks down there. All right. Okay, I think that's the only information we have about decks from this one. But we do have the amazing spreadsheet, which as I can see, there's already a couple of YouTube links over here. And I do see we have an Adventure Sprite list. Okay, that's good. All right. There's a Salamangreat deck in top 4. What the hell is going on? There's a Salamangreat deck in top 4. There's a Plunder Patrol Runic in top 8. Labyrinth Dragoon. Naturia Runic. Fluan the Reese in top 8. Eldritch in top 16. Dragon Link in top 32. Ishizu in top 32. We have a couple of things to look at and talk about today. There's a few things I need to see about this YCS. Like that is some crazy stuff over here. Let's just go top to bottom. I don't know where to start. Let's just do this. Second place, Sprite Adventure Frog from Nestor Juanacuni. Let me see what you got. I hope it doesn't hurt. I hope it does not hurt what I'm about to witness.
Buenas tardes, nos encontramos aquí en el YCS de Lima 2023. Nos encontramos con el segundo puesto.
Buenos días. Okay.
YCS, compañero Néstor, que ha jugado con su deck
Sprite Adventure Swap Frog.
Sprite Adventure Swap Frog. ¿Qué te pareció en las rondas? ¿Contra qué te enfrentaste?
La primera ronda me tocó contra Branded. Jugador jugaba muy
José Cano, Mario Arce, Ian Mendoza,
Juan Handcraft,
Kentis Villagres.
Okay.
que puede frenar un
React.
poco,
Please translate. I had Spanish in school, so I understand a little bit. But I don't think I could translate much.
Luis Salinas,
I could turn off the sound, yeah. What's going on with the lights in this thing? Did they have freaking a disco after the YCS? All right, 3 Veilers. Interesting. I'm not super impressed by Veiler in the current format. Well, yeah, I know what Buenos Dias means. Josh never learned a lot of Spanish in class because he had to get some sleep after wait. Oh, you remember that story? Yeah, true. 2 cap shells. Two cap shells. Interesting. Three swaps. So we're still making Toad. The hell is going on with the lights? They literally have a disco, like, disco ball in there. What? They are, they are pippading. Okay. Well, we got that nice, rare, nimble angler. Ooh. 3 beavers. Castor Aguil. Ooh, pixies. I will say one thing. I do like, in general, I do like pixies a lot less this format. And I'll tell you why. Is because I used to really like pixies with Elf, because you were able to, when they tried to go into battle phase to force your Djinn Buster or your IP, you would just go Elf Revive Blue to grab pixies, right? And that would make it a lot harder for them to break your board. Now, without Elf, rest in peace, praised be his name, whatever. Without Elf, I don't really see myself ever setting up pixies in a defensive way like that. Of course, offensively, you can still sometimes search it. If there's like a big monster on the field and you want to out it, you can go like blue search Elf. That works. But that was never for me the main selling point of pixies. You know, to like offensively search the card. It was most often used, at least for me, it was most often used to make my board harder to break. And I feel like without Elf, it's not really possible to set that up, because you would have to set, like, if you want this to like solidify your board when you go first, you would have to be like, you have to search it turn 1. And that means you are not searching red, carrot, or jet on turn 1 with your blue. And that feels awkward. I think Capshell is nice. You can make Bujin Link with Capshell, summon back the Capshell to make Djinn Buster. Even you probably make something better. But then you have to... Wait, Ahashima... Very quickly. Bush, Jinky, Ahashima. You have to summon something from hand with the same type or attribute, or both. Or just level. Oh, it's just the same level. Okay. So a level 2 from grave, level 2 from hand. Okay, not bad. It has to be a dark, though, if you want to make Djinn Buster. We've not looked at the salad list yet. This is the first thing we're watching. Okay, they have a lot to say about pixies. 1 carrot, 1 red. Interesting. I do think there is merit in running multiples for the grind game, but I do not hate the 1-in-1. I can see pixies being decent versus cash. I can too, but I feel like it's more impactful pixies when like you don't have to search it, like when you hard draw it. You know what I mean? Like if you hard draw the card, it's a lot easier to justify using it rather than having to actually justify spending a search on it. Does it have to go to graveyard? Like, does it work under a Rise Heart? Sprite pixies. Yeah, it does have to go to the grave, which makes it a little bit worse. Okay, we're not explaining 3 jet, 3 blue in Sprite right now. Okay. Adventures, there they are. The full package. All right. No illegal night, though, so I guess not technically the full package. Foolish. I mean, Foolish is a god card in this deck because you play Nimble Angler and Enchantress. So that's a sick card. 3 starter. Okay, stop explaining starter. Thank you. Move on. Yes, starter. Yeah. 3 Eclipse, and I think that's 3 Imperm. Is that it? It's a top? What do you mean? This deck got second at the YCS yesterday. This deck got second at the YCS yesterday. 3 Imperm. Oh, there's one left. Probably double cross. Okay, so that is... And now, let that sink in. That is 50 cards. That is 50 cards. And I know this because I saw it earlier on Lampy's Twitter. This is the list. Let me pull this up because it's easier to talk about it that way, I guess. Let me just pull up main and extra. Now, the thing is, the list isn't even that bad, in my opinion. Like, I don't think it's a horrible list. Let me just preface that, because if you remember last year, we did have a format where deck building was actually very similar to this, where people would play over 40 cards in their adventure decks, right? That was a very normal thing. No one batted an eye at 50 cards or something like adventure prank kits, right? That was not something that was super unusual a little less than a year ago when the adventure engine was first popular. And I don't think it's that outrageous. Sorry, Yora, think of the 5 months. Probably never. So, while I'm not saying it's perfect, please don't twist my words. I'm not saying this is a super good list, but I think it is probably better than it looks. Because when you think about it, you're like, oh, 50 card adventure sprite, that's gotta be bad. But I don't think it's that bad, considering the fact that it is an adventure deck where going over 40 cards does not only have downsides, right? Like in traditional deck building, the reason why we say we should play 40 cards or as close to 40 cards as possible is, of course, the reason that you want to see your good cards as consistent as possible. And when you go over 40, you're putting cards into your deck that make it less likely to see the core cards of your deck. And usually that is strictly a downside. You're making your deck worse, usually, by going over 40 more than you're adding. Because usually some cards in your deck are better than others. So you want to take out the ones that are a little bit worse to make it closer to 40 to see the cards that are better. In this specific case, we are looking at a deck where you have a lot of cards in there that you actually don't want to draw, but you cannot just take them out, right? You cannot just take out Fateful Adventure, Draco Back, Sprite Double Cross, Sprite Smashers, because those are engine requirements, right? And so certain decks have more engine requirements than others, and I think in those, it can be somewhat reasonable to go over 40 cards. Now, whether you want to go all the way to 50, I'm not sure, because at the end of the day, still there is certain cards you want to draw, and there's certain cards you really want to see if you want to do well at a tournament. Like certain you have to make sure that a certain number of hand traps is in your deck, or any other like here. So the problem that I have with this deck is less with the number of cards, even though you could arguably make it like 45 or something. 40 plus 10 bricks is essentially the same as playing 40. Nah, it's not. It's just that when you are settled on playing an adventure deck, then certain cards like Fateful, Dracoback, Griffin are already like programmed. You have to use these. So, and using these in a 40 card deck results in you drawing them more often than playing them in a, for example, 50 card deck. What's the reasoning for Capshell over Hyperia? Because Hyperia conflicts with the Rite of Aramasir drawback. Because Hyperia triggers on summon, which you cannot trigger after Rite of Aramasir, whereas Capshell triggers later. So that is perfectly reasonable. So in general, I like the approach, let's say. I like the idea behind this deck, but I do not like some of the execution. Because I do think it is okay to be like, I want to play Adventure Sprite. I don't think Adventure Sprite is a bad pick right now if you are trying to play Sprite. And the reason for that is that Adventure Sprite has always kind of been... The way I looked at Adventure Sprite usually was the deck kind of just is a little bit more all-in than traditional Sprite variations. That's always been the case, right? You're trying to commit more to the field than a regular Sprite deck. Like a regular Sprite deck would try to commit 1 or 2 cards to the field to create a board and then back it up with non-engine, like 2 to 3 non-engine. Whereas Adventure Sprite always by default would commit at least 1 more card, which is the Rite of Aramasir, right? You would always commit more cards. Like you commit the right to the field and then still commit a 1 to 2 card combo next to that. So at max, your game plan is to have like 1 or 2 non-engine cards next to that. As a payoff, you receive a stronger board, a more auto-win board, which I felt like previously, before the Elf ban, was never really necessary. I was always happy with the Sprite board that I was able to make with the regular Sprite combos. So playing the adventure package pre-Elf ban was not really necessary in my opinion, because it comes with certain risks, right? I hate playing adventure cards. If I can avoid it, I don't want to play the adventure cards. Simple as that. That's my take on the adventure engine. Is like, maybe it's necessary in some decks, but like I don't want to play it if I can avoid it, simply because I want to avoid the variance of putting Dracoback, Fateful, Griffin into my deck, right? Where like the adventure engine consists of 6 or 7 good draws if you count Foolish, and 3 bad draws, and I don't like that. I would rather just play a deck where all the cards are good, not like some of them are really good and some of them are really bad. But in this current stage, I do think that there is some merit to playing the adventure engine in Sprite, because the Sprite board without Elf gets significantly weaker, and the grind game also gets significantly weaker. So being able to just like solidify your board with a Griffin Rider and giving you a lot more damage and board clears with Dracoback helps you finish games quicker, and that could be a solid idea. Now, this is why I like the idea of playing Adventure Sprite in general. Now let's talk about this execution. I already told you I don't like the Pixies. I'm really not convinced about the Pixies. I'm not convinced by the Pixies at all, but maybe it's okay. So that is something I would not include in the deck probably. But the thing that's a lot more notable here is we've basically made 2 other core decisions here in deck building, which was, first of all, we've decided to still include the totally awesome Swap Frog Ahashima line, which I think is okay. I think it's fine, even though you could argue that if you already have Griffin Rider as an Omni Negate, maybe you don't need Toad, but Toad also provides follow-up because it adds back Nimble Beaver. So I'm not opposed to it. And the second very big decision that we made was our non-engine in this deck is all hand traps paired with Book of Eclipse. we've done Ash, Veiler, Imperm, Nibiru, which is 12 hand traps, and 3 Book of Eclipse, which is a total of 15 non-engine in a total of 15 non-engine in 50 cards, which is not that much, but it's also not terrible. Like, you are, on average, I think you see 1 to 2 non-engine cards like that. On average, you see 1 to 2 non-engine cards. I believe. Probably more likely to see 2 than 1. But hand traps in general, I am not sure if I love them this format yet. I do think Imperm feels okay. I really do think Imperm feels okay. I think Ash is also okay. Like, Ash feels decent on Theosis. Ash feels good on Prosperity. And Ash, of course, feels amazing on Branded Fusion. But that's about it for Ash Blossom, honestly. I feel like in most other matchups, Ash is all right. I mean, it's good against Labyrinth traps, like the Welcome Labyrinth. I think it's decent in those matchups too. Ash is a solid card. Ash and Imperm are solid cards. I feel like they don't overperform very often. You know, like I don't think you will ever have a tournament where, oh my god, Ash was so amazing this event, unless you play against Branded all week, all day. Then yes. But like, in all other matchups, I don't think these 2 cards have the potential to completely overperform. They're just gonna be Ash and Imperm. You know, Ash and Imperm are just Ash and Imperm. They're solid. Veiler, on the other hand, I'm not really convinced by. I don't love the Veiler as much. Simply because they cannot be used on your turn. I think with Imperm, very often, you can make the decision to keep it around if you don't find a good spot for it, right? Like, for example, your opponent, you know, goes for a line that you didn't anticipate. Like, for example, if, let's say, I'll give you one example. Let's say you're playing the Kashtira matchup, and you have made the decision to Imperm the Kashtira Rise Heart, the level 4 monster. Because that leaves them with a level 4 on the field that they basically can't use, right? So, and you've made that decision before they even started playing, right? In your tournament preparation, you were like, okay, my choke point against Kashtira is Imperming the Rise Heart, right? So you sit down against Kashtira, and they summon Unicorn, activate effect. You're not gonna Imperm, because that's the decision you made, right? You want to wait for the Rise Heart. But then, what happens is they go for a different line, where they go Unicorn into Theosis, summon Fenrir, search Ogre, I don't know, activate Birth, normal summon Ogre, search the trap card, make a Rise Heart, and pass. And now all of a sudden, that Rise Heart play that you were planning on using Imperm on never happened. They just didn't go for it. But it's fine because you have Imperm in hand. So you can just Imperm the Rise Heart on your turn. But you can't do that with Effect Veiler. If you have an Effect Veiler in your hand, at the point where you notice that they go for a different line than you expected, Veiler is basically now a dead card. Like, the best you can do if you notice, oh shit, they used Fenrir, but they didn't add Rise Heart, is like, I can Veiler the Ogre, but that still triggers Unicorn to look at your extra deck, and they still get the Rise Heart, so on and so. It's completely terrible. It doesn't even compare in the slightest to what an Imperm still does in that spot, you know? So, I think Imperm is a significantly better card than Effect Veiler right now. Because with Effect Veiler, I'm convinced that with Effect Veiler, if they start with Unicorn, you don't have any choice. Like, you have to Veiler the Unicorn, I think, because if they go for the 3 material Arise Heart, you can't really do anything. And so, like, while Veilering Unicorn isn't the end of the world, it's not terrible, it it's basically gambling, because if they already have, you know, if they already have the Theosis, or if they already have the Birth plus normal summon, it's not very good. Polka Joshinator, thank you for 5 months. Welcome back. Appreciate you. And then Nibiru. I think Nibiru is a card that right now, I think in this list I like it because we've already decided to play so many other hand traps. DSD King, thank you for the 3 months. I'm also glad you're here. Thank you for the support. I think if you've already made the decision to play all these hand traps, I think Nibiru is fine, because if you pair it up with another hand trap, it suddenly becomes pretty strong, I think, against most decks. Like, one example is Sprite, where normally Nibiru is poor against Sprite, but if you pair it with Valor, Imperm, or Ash, it usually works. So I think that's okay. And then Book of Eclipse, which I think is also a good choice in this list. Because, once again, I think Book of Eclipse is a good card to pair with hand traps, because the way I view hand traps this format is that they will never stop your opponent from playing completely. And when I say never, I mean never reliably. You know, like sometimes they will, because your opponent drew like extremely poor. Like, I don't know, they summon Unicorn, you Valor it, they pass. It happens. It can happen, but I wouldn't rely on it. You know what I mean? Like, if I Valor the Unicorn, there's probably nothing too crazy that happens. Right? They're probably not going to be able to do the full zone lock if I Valor them, but they can likely still play. So I think and I think Book of Eclipse is really good in that sort of environment where you stop your opponent a little bit with hand traps, but you still expect them to put up something, right? You still expect them to put up like the Arisard at the minimum, or like Shangri-Ira into Fenrir. And I think in that environment, Book of Eclipse is a really good card, because it solves all those scenarios. Like, Book of Eclipse basically solves everything that isn't the zone lock, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Book of Eclipse stops everything in the format that is not the zone lock. And so your hand traps stop the zone lock, and your Book of Eclipse stops everything else. So you have a solid mix there. I like that. Still, I would not be super happy with submitting a 50-card deck, but I'm going to be honest with you. The only cards I look at and I'm like, I would definitely cut this, is probably a Pixies. And that's about it. Like, maybe a Cap Shell. I don't know why it has to be specifically 2 Cap Shells. I think 1 is sufficient. But that's about it. Like, everything else just makes sense. Like, a certain number of hand traps, you know, you need the Anglers, the Beavers, the Sprites. The Swap Frog makes sense. Even though you could argue for 2 Swap Frogs. You know what I mean? I don't know if you need 3. But you can summon from Toad that way, right? If you play 3, so maybe that's important. And then the Adventure Engine just takes that many slots, and your non-engine required. Like, you need to play some non-engine this format. So realistically, what you can cut is like Cap Shell, Pixies. That's about it. Aren't cards like Pixies less expensive to include with a bigger deck size? You mean like, okay, so your argument is, and you're not wrong. Your argument is that when you play like let's say we take out, we have no Pixies in the deck and we're already at 49 cards. If I add another Pixies, the chance of me drawing it when I don't want it is not that high, because I'm already playing a big number. Technically, that's true, right? Having searchable cards can be very valuable in decks that are 50 plus cards, but you still can't overdo it, right? And I think in adventure decks, you're already playing with fire, right? Because there's already Dracoback, Fateful, Double Cross, Smashers, Griffin, right? And while each individual card of these, you don't have a high chance of drawing them, right? You don't have a high chance of seeing specifically Griffin Rider. You don't have a high chance of specifically drawing the Fateful Adventure. But if you combine the chance of seeing one of all of these, you're getting it's getting decently risky. And so I would be careful with adding even more cards of that type. And I think Pixies belongs into that category. Like, it's a card that, if you had the choice, you'd probably not draw it most of the time, rather than actually draw it. You like to have the option in the deck. Like, if you can guarantee me that Pixies is always in my deck, never in my opening hand, I'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll play it. Like, yeah, I'll play Pixies. If I never draw it, only sometimes I have the option to search it, that's great. But at the end of the day, you're gonna draw these one-ofs eventually. And so, like, I think with this, it's a matter of overdoing it a little bit. Like, playing with fire a little bit too much. I don't think I would play Pixies in this, but damn, that was a long talk. I guess I like Sprite. Let's move on. But yeah, list is not as bad as I expected when I read 50 card Sprite deck. Now Brother in Christ. Is this Spanish? Hold up.
¿Qué tal, amigos de Río Furdul? Estamos acá con José Castillo de Chile, que ha quedado top 4 acá en el YCS de Lima. José, ¿qué tal la experiencia?
Fue bastante divertido, me alegro mucho de llegar tan lejos con mi deck favorito. Y bueno, fue una decisión que tomé anoche, o sea, el día viernes en la noche. Iba a jugar Space
It's very quick.
Con mi amigo Álvaro, vi que no podía, que no era mi deck. Y le hablé a otro amigo, le hablé yo, si había traído su Salaman, me dijo que sí, lo fuimos a buscar en la noche.
What the hell is with the lights?
Y ahí lo...
Vale, vamos a ver el deck que todo el mundo está que le espera.
Salaman, Spinny, Foxy.
2 Spinny, 1 Foxy, 1 Gazelle. Is Gazelle still limited? That's crazy. 3 Jaguars, 3 Buffaloes, Microcoder.
Handtraps, o sea, 3 Impermanence, 3 Veiler, 3 Nibiru, 3 Ash y 2 Droll.
¿Qué tal los Droll?
Buenísimo, o sea, en verdad fue una decisión que tomé a último momento también, porque iba a jugar las otras 2 trampas Salaman, pero me di cuenta que no era necesario y que esto era mucho mejor por el combo
Lockbird.
mucho y como fue lo también.
Vale.
Jugué el Final Adventure,
Los últimos 3
3 Encantres, mi equipo,
del día de hoy.
Grifo, Faithful y solamente un Rito. Jugué ese reto
1 right. Okay.
39,
porque el Encantres también me servía como monstruo, porque es nivel 3 y puedo hacer aniversario al exit.
Mario Arce, Ian Mendoza, Diego Alagón, José Araya.
I feel like the 1 right is a weird choice. I've always, I mean, the thing is, if this deck is 40 cards, which I don't know if it is, thank you for the Prime, Dark Siri. Appreciate that. I don't like the proportions. I don't like the relation from, I'm playing 4 cards I want to see, which is Ride and Enchantress. And then I play 3 cards I don't want to see, which is Dracoback, Fateful, and Griffin. It's kind of like playing 4 Gammas, but they require 3 drivers. Which, if you think about it that way, I feel like it sounds pretty awful. Especially when you could play 6 copies, right? You could play 6. You're not even it's not even because it's limited or anything. The card is at 3. We just chose to do that. Just don't draw them? Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Total 40, ¿no?
Oh, no Salamangreat Trap. Okay.
42.
Dos Bailings, dos Lobos, un Lingurío brutal, Link Spider, que me sirvió en una con Nibiru, que hicieron el token, logré hacer Link Spider, decidí extenderme y seguí haciendo juego.
Ah, that way you can reach your perfect end board of turning your Nibiru token into a... Yep.
Dos Extras Main, son muy buenos, Happy Jammer para el OTK, Kid Leo, mi incisión siempre,
Omar
Transcope,
Córdoba.
2 Access Code,
Winamar,
Phoenix,
3940
Hitsol.
41.
Hitsol.
Si todo el mundo lo confunde con Leo, yo también, me había olvidado.
Dodo, thank you for blessing us with your Prime. Appreciate you. Thank you. Welcome back.
¿Qué sacarías de acá del strike que no te haya gustado?
He said in Spanish that he preferred to play droll instead of the traps. I don't feel like that's a great comparison. I don't feel like that's because the droll and Lockbird is like a card that is not searchable. It's a hand trap, so it's like good going second. Whereas the Salamangreat traps are a completely different type of card, right? They are accessible from your deck. They give you something that's better when you go first. So I don't really think that's the comparison you want to make. I think if you think about Salamangreat trap cards, you more have to think about it in a way like, do I need them when I go first? Right? Are they part of my turn one plan, right? Which is like sometimes they're not, right? If you're trying to assemble like Microcoder, Heat Soul, Pass, then maybe you don't want the Salamangreat trap cards. The only problem I have with that idea is that Microcoder, of course, is not really searchable. And I'm saying not searchable because I'm aware that Cynet Mining searches it, but Cynet Mining in itself is also not a searchable card, so you have like 5 copies of the card, and those are not accessible via other engine pieces.
No, estuvo perfecto.
Sí,
Sí,
dale.
no.
I think that's double access code, by the way, with the sleeve over there.
Y en Cyber. Llevo un Pancratops, 2 Raigeki, 2 Darkhold, una pluma, 3 Twister, 3 Barrier y 3 Antispell.
Oh.
Yep, Destroy, yep, Floodgate. All right, noted.
Eso fue todo.
Para acabar, José, ¿a quiénes le mandas saludos?
Bueno, un saludo a mi equipo Rulers of the World y a mi equipo y tienda TCG Live. Muchas gracias a Boyer por estar siempre apoyándome, a mi amigo Álvaro que está conmigo y a Claudio por el deck. Saludos a todos los chicos de Argentina que me están apoyando y a mi amigo de Chile.
Muchas gracias, José.
Gracias.
All right, Star Wars outro. Okay, I mean, did Lampy post that one as well so we can look at it? Oh my god, what is this? No spoilers, no spoilers. Okay. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna keep it 100. I have no idea how this happened. I can't explain this. I can't explain this. I mean, nothing against the player. Hey, if they just like Salamangreat, that's all good. But they must have just had a very good run. I don't expect this deck to be a contender in the upcoming format. So, while it is not a terrible deck, right? Also, yeah, Almirage is supposed to be Bailings. They messed that up in the image. It's not Almirage. They showed the 2 Bailings. We just watched it. Adventure Salamangreat with a bunch of hand traps is not the worst idea in the world. It's not terrible, but I would not get my hopes up too much for this deck to perform, honestly, because it's just not that good at the end of the day. It's just not that good. This deck is like 2019. This deck's from 2019. I don't think it compares that well with the current metagame. There's nothing too crazy about it other than the 2 Droll and Lockbirds. I don't know what exactly makes you play exactly 2 of that card. Phil Base, thank you for continuing your gift sub. Thank you. Yeah, I don't have much to say. I mean, it's a bunch of hand traps and adventure engine. So it's basically the same concept as the Sprite deck that we just saw. It's basically the same concept as the Sprite deck, but just like Salamangreat cards instead of Sprite cards, which is worse. Like, that's worse. Like, you will. I like Salamangrate, but if you compare Salamangrate cards to Sprite cards, they're not the same. They are not the same. They are simply built different. So, yeah. I don't know. That's that. All right. We don't have the Plunder Patrol Runic deck list. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's probably okay that we don't have that. Maybe we'll get it tomorrow. Maybe it'll be here by tomorrow. Now, what the hell is that? Labyrinth Dragoon?
¿Qué tal, amigos de Rayfordul? Estamos acá con Arnold Navam, top 8. My love. I love Rayfordul. Arnold es uno de mis mejores amigos del Rey. Yo soy fan de Arnold, es muy buen jugador. Sabe todas, a las mañas, todas. Es muy buen jugador y has quedado top. ¿Qué has hecho tú con esas cartas? Han sido bien recompensados, ¿no? Sí. Vamos a ver el de la mejor carta de Joey. La mejor carta.
I always need strength. I always need strength when I see vanillas in a deck. It always like
De verdad, muy fieles, mis amigos. Todas las rondas, miraba a mi oponente. Y yo quería que me cueste el torneo, entonces dije, voy a jugar cada ronda con una carta menos. Y la verdad, sí fue.
¿Todas las veces lo viste?
No será este.
Increíblemente.
Yo soy un Yugi.
Sí. ¿Dos?
Una Lovely. Antes la desequeaba. Yendo primero.
That's already... You just started the deck profile with 3 cards that you hate the draw. It's just... It's so...
Debía saber que era yendo primero hoy día, pero como que...
¿Te la jugaste?
Es una interrupción que a veces te salva, la verdad, no la veo tan necesario, pero la gente dice que sí o sí. O sea, en el main sí tiene que ir, después del side no sé. 3, multifaker. Esto es mejor que multifaker.
Sí es.
Tarjeteable, indestructible, bonita. Y ahora...
La Tech.
Eso es Red Ice. Nunca antes visto.
Dejaste todo boca abierto porque no esperaban que se...
The worst thing about this all is, depending on how the metagame develops, it's not even that bad of an idea because Dragoon negates evenly matched. And if people main deck evenly matched, that's like your biggest problem with Labyrinth. So I guess you could also just play Judgment, but then Red Eyes Fusion is a lot better when you go second. I don't know.
Ya, eso.
Sí, la verdad, ni yo lo había jugado. Jugué todo el mes de febrero Labyrinth. Y bueno, el miércoles y Gator me dice, oye,
you need a card in hand? It's fine. You just discard the big lady because you always draw it. I played Dragoon in cash, so I auto-win the mirror. Hold up. Let me actually look this up real quick because I'm not super familiar with Dragoon for reasons we shall not discuss. Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Dark Magician plus Red Eyes Black or a Dragon Effect monster. Cannot be destroyed by card effects. Neither player can target this card with card effects. During your main phase, you can destroy, inflict damage. Once per turn, you can discard negate. But how is this auto win against cash even? Oh wait, because it gains 1,000 attack, so they can't run over it anymore, and they can't target it. I mean, cash has to basically make a... They have to make a Zeus. Or they just go Scareclaw Cash Tira, and then they can just do it, right? I mean, one Fenrir outs it, right? Yeah, Scareclaw Cash just outs it. You need to negate Scareclaw Cash? Yeah, but like if you negate Scareclaw Cash, it's destroyed and then they can bring it back with Birth. You still have the attack boost? You don't. So the way it works, this is weird, but the way it works is if you negate a card that can only boost itself, it loses that attack boost. But if you negate a card that can boost anything, it does not lose the attack boost. I think it's roughly how it works. Please, someone confirm that. But I think that's how it works. I'm pretty sure that if you negate a card that can only boost itself ever, then it'll lose that. But if you lose a card, like even if there's a card that says you can target a monster you control, it gains 500 attack. If that targets itself, then if you negate that later, that will not lose the attack. But in this case, it will lose the attack. But it's irrelevant because I'm pretty sure that Scareclaw Cash reads while the monster battles a Kashtira monster. And I do think that even at attack declaration, that already counts as battling. So I think Fenrir, if Fenrir attacks this card, you can even target it for Fenrir's banish effect on attack declaration. I think that already counts as battling. So I think you can just like Scareclaw Cash plus Fenrir, you can just attack with Fenrir effect banish it, because at that point it's already negated. So it's actually not that good against Cash.
En el Airbnb y como que le hice 20-0 a todos los que estaban en el Airbnb y Ayrton estaba en top 4. Él perdió como 6 matches seguidos contra mí, entonces tuvo suerte. Y yo le dije, oye,
battling means you have to enter a damage step. That is not correct. That is not correct. There is a difference. There is a difference between while this card battles or if this card battled this turn. Like a Gladiator Beast, for example. They are different things. If while battling is from attack declaration to end of damage step. That is while this card is battling. But if this card has battled this turn, that is only if the card has reached the damage step. Maybe even a certain portion of the damage step. Don't quote me on exactly when, but like I know they're different. And that like Scareclaw Kashtira starts applying immediately. Damage calculation is even the one, I think. Yeah. So you're mixing that up. Which is honestly, I don't blame anyone for mixing this up. It is confusing. It is confusing, but it is important to note that I'm going to show you actually for context because this is quite complicated. Let me show you Scareclaw Kashtira. Let me show you Scareclaw Kashtira and a Gladiator Beast, because I think that's the easiest way to show the difference. All right, so Scareclaw Kashtira reads if your Kashtira or Scareclaw monster battles an opponent's monster, that opponent's monster's effects are negated until the end of the turn. Battles starts applying, like I said, that starts applying as soon as you declare an attack on that monster, or it declares an attack on your Kashtira or Scareclaw monster. It's immediately negated. On attack declaration, that is battling. It is also a continuous effect. It will not activate. Scareclaw Kashtira will not activate on attack declaration to negate the effects. It's just a continuous effect that is immediately being applied to that. Battling can be a direct attack too. In the case of Scareclaw Kashtira, it doesn't make any sense because it always has to be two monsters involved, so it can't be a direct attack. But in general, if something says like if this card is battling, yes. And then on the other hand, we have at the end of the battle phase, if this card no, that's different. If this card attacked or was attacked, that's different. With name an example of a card that says battled. I think it's this thing. I think I can use this. Oh, Zeus. Okay, Zeus. Hold up. Zeus is a good example, I think. Zeus. Exactly. Once per turn, if an XYZ monster battled this turn, you can also XYZ summon Zeus by using an XYZ monster you control as material. Okay? So this works differently. This works differently than this, because this one says battles and this one says battled. And for a card to count as having battled this turn, the battle has to basically have concluded, which means that that they have reached damage calculation, right? Which is confusing, but basically you have to look at it from battles is from start to finish at any point in that thingy, right? At any point, like from start to finish of the attack, that is counting as this card battles right now. But it only has successfully battled if it has reached the end. Okay? Was that somewhat understandable? Like someone in chat who did not know this before, did you get that now? Did we understand? Did we collectively understand the difference between battles and battled? Yep, okay. Good. All right. Where were we even? Oh yeah, okay.
Porque si te veo en rondas, pierdo. Lo bueno es que ya no te veo más. Okay. Good, thank you. Dos extra. Contra un sprite, me removió los 3
Ah,
segundos
yes.
en un juego. Counter, reason, la razón, ¿verdad?
If you really think about Pot of Extravagance, playing only 2 because, hey, chat, think about it. If the first one banishes 6 and the second one banishes 6, the third one can't draw 2 cards. So, you only play 2. Yo, shout out to Gunther. Okay, now we're ruining the entire logic by showing 3 prosperities. Okay, ruining my joke. Thank you. Appreciate that. Kind of rude, but...
No puedes jugar duality con esto. ¿Qué es mejor? ¿Mirar 3 elegir una? O jugar 2 de 3.
Watch the Madmen play 1 Dragoon.
Más 1 siempre. Eso es lo mejor porque mira 6.
Oh yeah, right. They can go 5 times 3. Oh yeah, that's perfect. That's the perfect ratio. They can go prosperity for 3, prosperity for 3, prosperity for 3, extravagance draw 1, extravagance draw 1, and that's perfect. Okay, so 5 pots. 5 pots. Perfect ratio. The joke continues. We do not give up so easily, yeah.
Yep. Mi sponsor, Unmatched Gaming.
How are they summoning Dragoon? They're not summoning Dragoon. They just add Dark Magician and Red Eyes off of Prosperity and then normal summoning them. Because they contribute them for Eradicator. Well, at least the Dark Magician. Yeah, see? Eradicator for Dark Magician. Easy clap. Look, I don't speak Spanish, but I'm sure that's what they're explaining right now. That has to be what they're explaining right now. It's gotta be. What they just said was like, yeah, you play Eradicator because when you Prosperity, you banish Dragoon, you add Dark Magician, you contribute for Eradicator, and it wins you the game against Sky Striker.
Dos punishment. Muy malo contra Cash cuando va segundo, muy malo contra todo. Dos Sapphire, gato. Dos Gozen.
Dos.
Skill Drain. Jesse Cotton me dijo, tu deck es Skill Drain y Blue Eyes White Dragon. Y le dije, sí, pero ahora necesito más oscuro. Esos, y las 3 barriers con los floods. Toca Cash, va primero, y aunque te rompen el campo, dices XYZ, terminan en 4 bichos que no hacen nada y la Lovely les gana el grind. De ahí... Dos Stairs, te setea el Welcome, te seteas una Ash al Cash, cuando te baja el unicornio, Stairs, te el Ash. Se queda así, oh no, y pasa.
No fue.
3 Welcome, 3 Big Welcome. Me gusta más esta que esta en el site, generalmente saco una de estas. Y pues, no mucho que decir. Y no.
No.
Nunca, no.
No.
Adiós, no.
No.
40.
40.
Okay. I am thinking about this deck right now. And I can tell you the win rate of this deck in game 1 exactly on the dot of the percentage. This deck's game 1 win rate. Can anyone guess this deck's game 1 win rate? Chat, little bit of a math experiment. What is the win rate of this deck in game 1? Chat, what have we learned throughout all of these streams? Hey, was it class math question? 50-50, you either win or you don't. Technically, that's true for everything in life. Yeah, that's basic statistics. Is like for anything to happen is 50% because it either happens or it doesn't. True, fair enough. That's basic maths. But let's do some more advanced maths. Because your answer was correct. Your answer was correct, but how you got there was wrong. How you got there was wrong, because I was actually serious. I was actually being serious about this deck's win percentage when in game 1. Because, very simply, I don't see this deck ever winning going second. This list is ass when you go second. Diddy Ice T, thank you for the 5 months. That's why we're here. I'm explaining you the math. This deck, literally, 3 Judgment, Red Eyes, Dark Magician. It can't win going second.
Solo 40. Silent. Silent.
Al último les trae porque haría rico.
There's no Evenly. There's no Lava Golem. There's no Kaiju. There's nothing. No Sphere Mode. Like, no hand traps. Like, your opponent just plays. They just play. No answer to the zone lock. No answer to, like, it's just over. Like, you don't win.
Como todos saben, si juegas un deck de trampas, te meten pluma, Evol y Lightning Storm.
Yes.
Entonces yo juego 15 monstruos. Los llevo a todos. 15 monstruos. Grounded Fusion? Fuck. Pass. Ya, se acabó ese duelo. El MVP, Gamma. Todos los cash son free. Segundo y tercero dicen, no, me va a quedar. ¿Cómo se llama esto? Ni viro. Entonces, jajaja, Rise Hard Pass. Pero hay un combo. One card combo. Que te hace +1 y -1 al oponente. Active Prosperity.
Oh.
Gamma. Rise Hard Attach el Prosperity. No. Gamma. Oh. Luego hace Scrap Dragon, Stardust o Omega. Se acabó el juego. Pues juego de Raf. Va segundo. Hay gente que no dicen, ya me sé la del Gamma, entonces te voy a bloquear las zonas. Entonces para eso siempre hay un presupuesto. 2 Nibiru por si te toca un deck combo loco, lo cual sí había, pero a mí nunca me tocó. Y el driver sería el
Those are collector's rare gammas, yeah. Which I think is the only way to guarantee you never draw a driver is if you have collector's rare gammas. But the problem is, that's why they're so expensive, by the way. That's why collector's rare gamma is so expensive, is because you never draw driver if you have collector's rare gammas. But that's why I personally don't love gamma, because I don't have collector's rare gammas. And since, you know, I always draw driver.
Pero más despacio. Y 3 roquitas que...
¿Te pintaron?
Ganaron todas las rondas. Y en top 8 hice extra y robé 2 roquitas. Y dije, no, roca con roca no pega. Entonces tiré roca y me tiró papel.
Y el extra que todo el mundo quiere ver por lo que llevas.
Gracias a Unmatched Gaming.
So I chose to go with a different route. I have another technique of never drawing driver, which is just don't play gamma, bro. Let's just don't bother.
Puedo comer y jugar lluvia a la vez. Soy Starlight Jones. El mejor sponsor del mundo. Ahorita es un team de un jugador y nuestro base.
How much are these? How much are these? Oh god, dude. They're like almost 300, like 250. No, English ones are actually 300. That's almost $1,000 right there.
Próximamente habrá uno más.
3 dragones.
Bro, you have that much money? You have that much money and you decide to play this? I don't get that.
Ahora va a ser Iron Munchen, creo.
3 dragón.
Presentes. Todo es por el Extravagance. 3 garrura. Pues, no sé cómo se llama, pero te bota garrura, entonces es un buen amigo.
Y es de 3000 para que. 3500 para.
Se come a todos.
Para todos, ¿no?
25. Omega. Me salió el combo una vez, fue muy
I'm pretty sure it was Starlight Prospect, Collector's Rare Gamma. Like, this is probably the most expensive deck in top 8, and they decide to go like, I better win the dice roll, bro. That's a very expensive dice roll simulator that we go like. They could have gone to like a rock paper scissors convention, and they would have had the exact same tournament experience, right? But they didn't have to spend like $10,000 on that. You know what I mean?
Tenía 2 mujeres y dije, me van a dar el siguiente turno. Entonces, Dingirso, ¿me bajo algo? El Dingirso es auto IP Evermax. Que en Dueling me salió y dije nada.
Because when you go second with this deck, it doesn't matter how expensive your deck was, you lose.
Se lo pones encima el Ding.
Yep, Starlight Zeus, sounds about right.
Gracias, Arnold. ¿A quién quiere mandar saludos aparte del sponsor?
Gunther borrowed him some of the cards? Okay, fair enough then.
Sin Gunther, no hubiera llegado. Carloncho Store. El sábado tenía mi polo blanco de Carloncho Store, pero estaba muy sudado. Ahí está.
Okay, that's the deck. And if you couldn't tell from my narrative, I didn't like that. I didn't like that. Drawing Red Eyes Fusion into a Rise pass be nice. I mean, I guess it's like, but that's your only chance of like even having a chance, and then you still lose if they have an Ash Blossom. So, and everyone is playing Ash Blossom, so I don't know. I didn't like that list. I don't think it's that great. Now, chat, we will not look at Eldritch. We will not look at Eldritch. I don't know why there's a thumbs up in the thumbnail, but that does not make any sense. I guess we can take a look at Dragon Link.
Estamos acá en YCS Lima con el buen Papu, que has dicho top 32 con Dragon Link. Ya, Papu, el toque cuenta.
Un de cuarto.
Quedé 8-1-1 y perdí en top con Calves.
Vale, ¿cómo es que llevaste?
Llevé 3 Cypher, los Dragoncitos del Caos,
Ya.
un Levianir,
¿Ya?
y lo único Rocket jugué 2 Tracer y un Richard.
Uf, buenazo.
Jugué un 8 Router para buscar
Ya.
Tracer, un Opto para robar Side,
¿Ya?
y de lo Bestial jugué 2 Lubelion,
¿Ya?
3 Magnamuts.
¿Ya? Mierda, tú estás jugando contra Tilomentos.
They just didn't change their deck from last format. It's just last four. They had no time to prepare. They just like played the same.
Estaba bien testeadito el deck.
One Card Combo.
No, ya no existe One Card Combo. Ahora
Con 2, ¿no?
juegas el tercer turno. De Hunter jugué 3 Nibiru y 3 Ash.
Vale.
¿Nada más? O tengo Hiperma, pero está entre las trampas. Triple Chose Space, triple Quick Launch, los 2 campos. Bueno, esta magia que me parece bien rota. Y
What else are they gonna play? Okay, fair enough. It's Dragon Link.
triple libro.
¿Te pintó el libro? Algunos.
Sí, porque mi deck no pierde al Shangri-La, sino pierde a la Rise.
A la Rise.
Entonces,
Te convenía más.
sí.
¿No te metieron lanza cuando lanzaste eso?
Sí, en top me la tiraron.
I don't know why there's Eclipse in their last format deck, because like it's not that great against Tier
Me
Laments.
hicieron lanza una vez y la otra me hicieron Magi Deflector.
Ah, su madre.
Y el resto de trampas fueron la trampa Bestial y triple Imperma.
Purito es, ¿no? Purito dragoncillo.
De extra deck jugué los únicos 2 Synchros, ya todo el deck ya no se centra mucho en Synchros, Savage y Baronesa.
Extrañas al ruler, ¿no?
Sí, se extraña. Striker, Pisti, los Link 1 siempre me removían felizmente hay esto. Romulus, Dark, Masquerena, Doble Esfera, Orlent, Apolusa, Access Code, el triple Burst y jugué 2 Nightmares.
Oh.
De acá lo que cambiaría sería quitaría la Masquerena y metería la tercera esfera. Porque el deck ya no es tanto como si no haces control.
Bajas, controlas y dejas un poquito algo para el siguiente turno.
Dejo esferas trampa y en ningún deck se puede pasar eso y el siguiente turno lo mato. De ahí jugué Dexide 3 Lancea, esto para la Rise,
Persevenly.
3 Heavenly,
Hasta que había visto
3
el-
Barrier.
Why is it Radion in this deck? Chaos Space? I guess it might be for Chaos Space. Like, The thing about kaijus in this format, basically, I like kaijus a decent amount in this current format, but I think most decks have like different kaijus that they want to play. Like, so first of all, why do I like kaijus? I think kaijus are very solid right now because they are very low risk. Basically, if you look at any given non-engine card in this current format, I feel like most of them have a certain risk attached to them, in the sense that, like, for example, if you decide to play Nibiru against Kashtira, the card can be very good, but the card can also be very bad. And with a kaiju, you don't really have that. A kaiju will always be at least solid. Because Kashtira, I mean, if Kashtira, I guess it's dead if it passes on 0 monsters. Hey, fair enough. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no real risk to attach. There's no real risk attached to playing a kaiju. The only thing that would ever punish a kaiju is Ibli. Like, if they give you an Ibli, which is the card that they have to hard draw, then the kaiju is dead, right? But that's the only thing, like, right? Olo, thank you for the prime. Welcome to the channel. Appreciate that. A new sub. Always happy to see some new primers in there. Appreciate you. Even cards like Book of Eclipse and Book of Moon that would seem like they're always good, they have like some risk attached to them because sometimes they lock your back row. And if then your only answer to the Kashtira combo is a Book of Moon or Book of Eclipse, then that's not great. Unlucky Sora, thank you for the 7 months. Appreciate that. Another prime, thank you.
Y 3 Cosmic.
3 Cosmics.
Eh,
¿Qué hubieras cambiado?
nada, estaba jugando 3 Lightning, pero
The voice throws me off each time. Cryan, thank you for the 2 months. Appreciate you a lot. Thank you.
testeando con Relato Sarmiento.
No sería más el Cosmic, ¿verdad?
Es mucho mejor el
But yes, you are right. Level 7 kaijus is normally not what you want to do. Simply because Kashtira is a level 7 focused deck. So giving them a level 7 kaiju in itself doesn't make a lot of sense. Most of the time, you want to be using a level 8 kaiju right now. Right now, you want to be using a level 8 kaiju, but there can be specific reasons why you want it to be this kaiju still, right? For example, we've looked at Dark Worlds recently, which that deck has Allure of Darkness, that deck has the Gates, and this thing is a Dark Fiend, so maybe in Dark World it's better to play Radion, right? Blake, thank you for the 2 months. Welcome back. Appreciate the support. Thank you. Or another example could be if you are really worried about the Labyrinth matchup, which sometimes they have Gozen match or Rivalry, and they are all Dark Fiends, maybe you want Radion, because that works under Gozen or Rivalry. Now, I don't think that's the biggest concern about in Dragon Link, because they would not side Gozen or Rivalry against Dragon Link. That seems horrible. So I don't think that is the reason here. I think the reason here is quite simply just Chaos Space, because for Chaos Space you can discard Radion. But I'm gonna be honest, you could still side a light kaiju that is level. There's like level 10 light kaiju, right? Which also works with Chaos Space. So I'm not sure if I agree with Radion. Like there's even 2 light ones, yeah. Guess he wants Chaos Space to add Lubellion. I mean, yes, but like your deck is full of darks. So like, I don't know. I feel like the ability to sometimes like give Kashtira a Gameciel or any other level kaiju that they can't deal with is good, because that means like if you give them a level 8 kaiju, it means you don't have to win the game that turn. It doesn't mean it means you don't have to clear everything. Like you don't have to deal with everything and set up an unbreakable board or OTK on that turn immediately. Because if you leave them with a level 8 kaiju, it sort of like locks them out of the game a little bit, right? And I think that's good. They have to crash with the kaiju, which loses them their battle phase, or they have to have birth. So I don't know. I mean, Radion also isn't like, if they have something on the field, that's not great for them, but like, yeah, I don't know. Isn't Radion one of the more expensive kaijus? No, it was in a structure deck recently. I think most kaijus are pretty cheap by now because they've all been reprinted plenty of times.
Ahorita el Lightning yo lo banquearía también, ¿eh?
Sí, y bueno, ese fue el único cambio que hice y la verdad que ya no cambiaría esa
Se va a poner de moda el Runic, así que.
Sí, mucho
El
Runic.
Runic. Sí, yo también me toca el Runic.
Natura
El
Runic en
Runic.
top.
Sí, ahí en top. Para terminar, saludos a quién.
Saludos a todos mis patas de Virtual Deck, a Carloncho por la
¿Y
organización.
tu team cuál es? ¿El Barcelona?
Al Barcelona.
Tu poli, hijo desgraciado. Agarra el física de menos, weón.
¿Qué también es virtual?
Tiene posito, me
Oye, en ADP estamos aceptando,
Oh god, what now?
estamos aceptando
Saludos a Virtual Deck.
Desgraciado.
Why'd you smell that shirt like that?
A Carloncho, a Renato Sarmiento que me ayudó con el
estamos aceptando
Why'd you do that? Oh.
Desgraciado.
What?
A Carloncho, a Renato Sarmiento que me ayudó con el side, a Curioso también que me ayudó con el side. Y bueno, al Quinoas con el que empaté en rondas, porque se demoró bastante su turno. Y bueno, a toda la comunidad de Lima, porque yo me llevo bien con todos y todos me dieron ánimos en ronda.
¡Ay, chupapinga!
Chévere.
Alright, Star Wars outro, okay. Kind of a standard Dragon Link deck. I don't know. This LATAM YCS is just always, they never cease to amaze me. Okay, well, alright. Raúl Villafuerte, show me your Ishizu Tirgu. I don't understand the 3 Saronir. It's to send the branded regain so that you get the value from branded beast.
Buenas tardes, gente. Nuevamente estamos en el YCS con el top 32. Presentaré, por favor.
Bueno, mi nombre es Raúl, soy de Tacna. Yo el deck que llevé a este YCS es el deck Terlament Ishizu.
Tiene Ishizu top 32, increíble.
A ver, voy a presentar primero los monstruos.
A ver, por favor.
La nueva adquisición de la última expansión. Las poderosas Cash de Terlament son muy buenas para seguir, para millar, porque el propósito actualmente del deck es
Ooh, that's a very rare sight. A Tearlament that is unlimited. That's
sacar recursos
crazy.
de todo el cementerio que podamos hacer. Las 3 niñas, Merle, Hamnis y Shayden, tienen que estar sí o sí. Es como funciona el deck.
Las 3 niñas. Uh-huh.
2 Reign of Hair para botar a esta, para seguir haciendo los combos, extenderte un poco. Y
Okay. Will there be Dracosac Cherubini? Will there be Dracosac Cherubini? No one ask what Cherubini Dracosac is for, please. We're all sub to pack, Joe. We're all sub to
por
pack.
otro lado tenemos un Swan, porque sin él no podemos hacer ninguna función prácticamente.
Ya que te quitaron a la sirenita grande, bueno.
Sí, el deck se vuelve un poco complicado, pero igual se vuelve bueno. Es como una bolita de nieve que va creciendo. Para sacar más recursos del cementerio, 3 Shadows. Hollow, Escomata.
But the lighting in this menu.
Envías cartas cuando tienes atributos diferentes en el campo. Envías un Shadow, que por lo general puede ser este.
Why is there disco lights? Oh,
Shadow para seguir
God,
sacando
dude.
recursos de la mano.
The thing is that out of most of these deck profiles, the disco light is the least surprising thing that I'm seeing. Right? Like, I'm seeing things in these deck profiles, and the disco light is one of the more reasonable things. Anyway.
Oye, indispensable. 4 hechizos.
Son cartas que te dan demasiado control y aceleración en el deck, ¿no?
Sí.
¿Los ratios de las cartas estuvieron bien?
Sí, juego 43 en total. Así que sí, me gustó bastante. Trataba de reducirlo lo mayor posible porque cuando sacaba 50 cartas no miliaba las cosas que tenía que miliar. Un Destrudo, porque hay las cosas que tengo en el extra deck. Hand Traps, 2 Nibiru's.
2.
2 Ashes porque
El
Brande
Dos
es muy
plus.
fuerte con Brande Fusion, así que tiene que agarrar de alguna forma. Y el último monstruo, un Crystal Beast. Y ahí te lo explicaré por qué.
¿Por qué tu decisión de solamente jugar 2 handtraps? ¿No querías ver múltiples en la mano o...?
Es que para mí es un deck combo que tiene que empezar primero. Y entonces si tú robas muchos hand traps,
Please show me 3 Pearl Rhinos. Please.
4 hand traps no te sirve para nada porque hacer one card combo.
Do not show me 2 Pearl Rhinos.
Podrías que seguir brillando y brillando. Magias obligadas, 3 campos. 3 screen, porque esta es la contraparte de la continua de los Kashtira, que te saca recursos bastante. 3 reduces ataque, no te pueden pegar, y eso así. La T empezar elementos, me puede invocar un monstruo o recuperar trampas. Y con la Kashtira tiene buena sinergia porque puedes estar
Is
removiendo
that grief?
las trampas para recuperar las nuevas paredes. En cartas que llevo solamente a uno porque solo voy a pulso para remover macro y recuperar trampas del cementerio. Esa recupera las removidas. Full Scroll solo una, pues pasar una por turno y no me gustaba mucho en torneos locales.
Okay, I don't know much Spanish, but they just said sola una because it's once per turn.
Una pobre, eso seguir votando.
Why are you playing 3 Pearl Rhino? That's once per turn as well.
Un tierra para buscar los campos, una calle y una poli. Poco usual.
He didn't say that, he said that. I swear to God they said that.
Full Scroll solo una, pues pasar una por turno y no me gustaba mucho.
They said that. They absolutely said that. Don't lie to me.
Una poli. Poco usual. En trampas, un screen, pulso.
This is just the OCG metagame right now. OCG players are drooling at this list right now. They're like, damn, he on the goo. Where's the sound?
Una planta,
Oh, there you go.
un drago, un garuda, esto para sacar con los Shadow Ball, la quimera que fue bastante fuerte, grapa para negar.
Why one Trivi Karma? Because there was not enough room for DOS.
Y esto para poder recuperar también removido, ¿no?
Duh.
En links tenemos a Dark, tenemos a Spring Sprite. Es suficiente, me parece a mí. Luego tenemos a Babusca, el ladrón de tiempo que se vuelve importante porque por lo general a Shirin siempre le invoca, cierra la envía.
We were supposed to have a ban list yesterday, 9 p.m. Japanese time. Oh, and did it just not happen? Was there supposed to be an OCG ban list today?
Entonces, por eso lo triggerías, ¿no? Zeus, solo Zeus y varones, ¿no?
Varones. Ahí está la tech para el destrudo.
Sí.
Ahí está su nombre y su apellido.
En extra deck, una chiquinada que me dio bastante.
They delayed it to the 26th this month. Okay, interesting.
Porque también llevo Shadow Fusion.
Más Spice tech.
Esto es full spam. Si resuelve,
Más spice.
esto es como resolver una brand de Fusion.
This is just an OCG deck list.
Un Scattershot porque a veces me faltaba daño. Un Collector para los que son esto.
Oh my god, bro. If I'm playing Sword Soul and they go Shadow Fusion, make Shekinaga, send Collector, I'm probably leaving the tournament.
Sword Soul. Y en ocasiones para algunos combos grandes. No, esto, Brave. Esto tiene nombre, es para los. Para Arise Heart. Sí, y aparte que Sapo me permite funcionar, ¿no?
Dos.
Para todo el backrow, polvo de pluma rupia, igual Cash tira 3 libros y 3 Evil por algún random.
Claro.
Eso sería todo y creo solamente mandar saludos a mi team, la red social de Tacna y ya, eso sería
There's
todo.
nothing special there. It's just the deck. Like when I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, there has to be something special about this Salamangreat deck on why it made top 4. There has to be something special in this Labyrinth Dragoon deck that made it make top 8. There has to be something in this Dragon Link that made it make top 32. There has to be something in this Chilament Ishizu deck that made it make top 32. And the answer is just not. There isn't. There isn't, bro. They're just playing. It's just, that's what they're all doing. They're just like, gentleman's agreement. We're playing fun decks, dude. Also, I want you guys, we're doing a little bit of a thought experiment here. Because top 16, I want to bring your guys' attention to some names here in top 16. There is Paulo, Raf, Jesse Cotton, and Christian Urena. They all lost in top 16. The 8 people that remained victorious in throughout top 8 are Sprite, Cash Tira, Salamangreat, Panda Patrol, Labyrinth Dragoon, Naturia, Runic, and Fluanderies. Okay, these are the 8 decks that won in top 16. Which means that Jesse lost to one of these, Gunther lost to one of these. Raph lost to one of these. And Apollo lost to one of these. Now, let me know who lost. Who lost to Salad? Chances are it might be one of those. Paulo lost to... Oh my god. Paulo lost to Salad. Jesse lost to Plunder. Let me see the pairing. Yeah, actually, we do have top 16 pairings, right? Oh god, top 16 pairings. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. Okay, Rafael Nevin against Key Andre Chavez Curioso. Ooh, I felt that. Oh god damn. Okay, that we're off to a good start. Oh, we're off to a good start. Oh my god. F in chat for Raf. Oh nah. Oh nah. Christian Urena against Ayrton Kiros. Okay, he lost to Cash Tira. Gunther has the only excuse so far. Gunther lost to Cash Tira. Okay. Jesse Cotton lost to Michel Verissimo da Silva, which is Plunder Runic. All right. I did not have Jesse Cotton bringing Cash Tira to a YCS, losing in top 16 to Plunder Patrol Runic on my personal bingo sheet. It wasn't there. It was not on my bingo sheet. I don't know if any of you in chat had that on their bingo sheet. It was not on mine. And then we have Paulo against Jose Castillo, which is Salamanca. You can't explain this. You can't explain this because, like, you can say like, oh well, Latin America, maybe they just didn't play against that competent opponents, but they did. I mean, they beat Paulo, they beat Jesse, they beat Gunther, they beat Raf. Like, how? What's happening? What is, like, there must be some like energy in Latin America that just makes these you know, these decks just draw different. You know? Latam just has different vibes to it. You know? Like... nah. That's crazy. And that's so far all the deck profiles we have. I guess, I mean... I already know I'm not gonna enjoy this, but I know I also know that you enjoy when I don't enjoy a deck profile, so I'm clicking. All right, I'm clicking.
¿Qué tal, amigos de Rey for Duel? Estamos acá con Dailin Star, acá con sus lentes. No, nos va a mirar feo ese don, está en el evento.
They are very tired from all the thinking they had to do throughout the event. That's why they just did that.
Desde el Mayor, no, ¿cómo era? Major, ¿no? Mayor, está ahí, ¿no? Mayor.
¿Qué cosa?
Sí,
regional, pues.
Ahora
no,
está en el Conti. Yo Conti que digo, YCS Lima Top 16. Y con el deck que le gusta. Vale, Dailin, cuéntanos algo rápido y te vas con el deck.
Nada, no creí que iba a ser top, la verdad. O al menos.
Sí, vino para venderme, trajo una caja para vender.
Triple Dash. Bueno, contra.
That makes sense. It's a zombie deck.
Lo que es el castigo a veces, es más que nada para Branded. Es primordialmente Branded esa cosa acá. Luego jugué Prosperity, que normalmente, como indico, es el motor del deck, siempre, para querer buscar una full que te falte, el Engine Eldritch o cualquier X cosa que puedas jugar. Esta vez
Hey, good deck so far. I like these
no
cards.
jugué Branded Eldritch, no lo jugué.
Surely it only gets better from here.
Mágica extra que jugué de main deck fue Pluma. No sé, siento que estoy en Perú y puedo jugar back, así que why not. Y ahora pues el paquete Eldritch solamente una Earthland, como siempre, y todo el mundo me dice, no juegues 3 triple Golden Lord, porque tienes que jugar a 3 sí o sí. Y luego lo clásico, 3...
Arcalich, el señor dorado.
3 y 2. El paquete Eldritch más solo que ahora le bajé uno porque no estoy jugando grande más que nada. Y el Eldritch sigue ahí porque bueno, que siempre puedo balancear con esa pendejada. Luego de main deck, las cosas que están jugando brutalmente es Evol. Me pagó muy bien.
El señor
matches. Graciosamente de las... A ver, he jugado creo que 12 rondas por el top y todo. Habré ganado creo
I kind of want Spanish Golden Lords now. I kind of want Señor Dorados.
que 2 de ese lado. O 3, máximo. El resto le estaba perdiendo y milagrosamente está robando esto, así que el deck como que se ha portado bien teóricamente. El lado no, pero el deck se ha portado bien. Y luego quise maindequear esta carta, porque como justamente todo esto que maindequean ya Evenly, triple para protegerme. También llega summons, activaciones, etcétera, que pueden ocurrir. Lo jugué de main deck, es una opción viable, la verdad. Me ha salvado varias veces de Evenly main. Y luego porque quiero jugar un board wipe, triple Torration. No juego Dark Reiki Torration porque puedo baitearlo con mi propia trampa y hacer buff a todo el campo. Creo que nunca lo llegué a utilizar, o una vez lo utilicé, pero lo puse porque es un board wipe. Y luego, bueno, viene lo cochino. Triple Darkan, triple Heal Drain, triple Rivalry, triple Gosen.
Igual de feo que tú.
Igual de feo el mío.
I closed my eyes and it still hurt. I closed my eyes, but I could not close my ears at the same time.
Floodgate, porque mi deck yo quiero ganar a punta de Floodgates. Si bien hay decks resilientes como Labyrinth ahora, que quieren jugar con trampas como Compulsory, Punishment, cosas así, porque bueno, Labyrinth las puede ser hecho. Yo no tengo esa facilidad, así que yo simplemente juego 3 de cada Floodgate para que decir, no vas a jugar ni también.
Emparejamiento de atributos.
Porque esto mata lo que es Branded, esto mata lo que es Kashtira, esto puede tener un poco Kashtira y esto detiene cualquier deck en toda la existencia del mundo mundial, excepto un Eldritch en contra. Aguante Eldritch. Y ya. Ese es el main deck, 40 cartas, nunca me ha gustado jugar más de 40, así que 40 exactos. Para el extra deck,
Bueno, para Evil.
no tengo un Lingurigo, hermano, sorry. Solo tengo uno.
Evil.
Así que si me quedan con el Kashtira, pues ya me lo quito. Ahí tengo mi buen Baileys, pero ¿qué te puedo decir? Triple cañón, porque soy homosexual. De hecho, gané 2 veces con esta vaina, bien gracioso.
Stop explaining your extra deck. What the hell you say por qué for?
Espérate acá, porque se gana rápido.
Links 2 para Lucy y Zombies. Links 1 para lo que es empezar a mover el motor de Eldritch. El cañonazo para matar acá. Un combito de players con Telemayos. No, juego Zeus, porque... Bueno, me olvidé.
Karma.
Sinceramente me olvidé.
¿No lo trajiste?
Hoshi, no, me olvidé que podía jugar Zeus.
Vamos acá, vamos ahí, está pasando el... Por acá.
Ahí está esto. Y nada, Gangarigan, que fue la última edición, y luego el VLS, porque esto sí no lo pasa Kashtira.
La mano de Zamora de tu el
Así que me faltan las manos. Así que creo que jugaría, el único que creo que jugaría 2 más que nada, porque no lo pasa Kashtira. Ya
Sí,
se lo bajé a uno y sufrió demasiado. Tuve que inflarlo, pero ya está inflado el mío, así que ahí quedó.
Si mata uno y lo inflas es bien difícil.
Se acabó de bajar. No puedo bajar, no puedo. Y ahora en side deck jugué Triple Heavenly Lord, porque si bien también estoy jugando Background, no quiero morir. Además me puede setear estas cosas acá, porque esto teóricamente te tiene la Kashtira más o menos. También me para lo que es el tema de
follow
la
back.
Evenly.
Te para el Evil y también tu follow back de Ramón
Sí, me para, pero yo puedo dar situación que puedo tener Sanguín y puedo activar ese y ganar Sanguín.
Claro.
Así que me da un factor esto. Luego está la Triple Barrier. O sea, aquí están las otras 6 Flugas más que juego. Así que en total son 18 Flugas que juego. Además, esto con esto hace que no se bane, por si acaso. Ya, así que. Y luego, pues, porque todo el mundo quiere jugar Lava Golem, Esfera. No me gusta eso a mí. Yo he jugado Triple Gameciel. Me ha ayudado bastante, muchísimo. Yo
Creo que es mejor elección por el tema que ya no está, algunos están solo jugando el Exit.
Los dos Castillas que jugué justamente en Single 2 me dejaron una raíz.
Sí,
Para con pinga.
Yo estoy jugando con Mauricio, que vino de Nueva York y me dijo, puta, tío,
Alright, let's skip this. There's still over 2 minutes left in this. I will just summarize it for you, okay? There you go. That's the deck profile. Alright, noted. And that's about it for the YCS so far. It's quite the crazy results, I feel like. It's quite the crazy results. Now, I am half worried about this and half not worried. I'll tell you why, because like I feel like it's the format that is being presented to us here is not very desirable, right? But the question is this the format that we are playing now? Or was this only because it was a Latin American YCS, which tends to have... I don't want to speak too harsh about Latin American YCSs, because they're still big tournaments and whatnot, and it still takes, you know, skill to perform well in these. So I don't want to look at it from too much of a, like, you know, top-down perspective. But I still feel like I'm not sure if it's representative to the overall Yu-Gi-Oh metagame to full extent, right? I don't know how well this carries over to like YCS London, the 250th YCS, for example. Like, do we now expect Salamangreat to perform well at the 250th YCS? And like, I don't think so. Like, honestly, I mean, I don't think it's representative in that way, right? Because I mean, the tournament is smaller, First of all, right, this was a 10-round tournament with a top 32 cut. That is the 250th YCS, at least in Europe, is almost guaranteed to be 12 rounds, top 64, which by default is harder. Even if the level of the players is the exact same, 2 more rounds of Swiss and 1 extra round of top cut makes it harder. So without meaning any offense, right? It is not the same to play 600 a 600 player YCS than it is to play a 2,500 player YCS. Which I don't even know if 2,500 is the number for if we have 250 players, 2,500 players at YCS London, or if it's going to be even bigger than that. I don't actually know. In LATAM, good players play different decks. Maybe if we had good players in other regions playing decks like that, we have results like LATAM. I mean, that could certainly be the case, right? Like, I know for a fact that, for example, Michel da Silva, I think, is a very competent player, right? Some of these I don't know, but some of these I know. Like, I know Michel is... I don't know him personally, but I do think that he's a very competent player, right? And so maybe the Plunder Patrol Runic deck, I would actually be interested in that deck profile, but like maybe that is actually something that isn't bad, right? And maybe if good players in Europe were to play that deck, maybe it would also perform, right? And so like there's that, right? And also, I mean, John Guerrero, as they said on the coverage block, has already won his second YCS, right? I mean, if you top or win one Latin American YCS, maybe that's done by pure luck. But when you do it twice, if you win 2 600 player events in whatever time frame, like that's an achievement. You can say whatever you want, but like that is something that's to be taken seriously, right? That is not something that you can just write off as like, LATAM, right? You can't do that. You can't just do that. So, yeah. And we also had, like I said earlier, there were a lot of good players at this event where if it was that easy, right, surely one of those would have taken it down, right? We have Gunther, we have Jesse, we have Raph, we have Paulo, we have Gabriel Netz. There's a bunch of names here that could have easily been good enough to take down the YCS, and even, I mean, they might have gotten unlucky, but like they didn't, right? And so like, you know, so that's a thing. That's a thing, right? Where I'm like, okay, maybe there is more to it than people think, right? But still, the one thing I'm worried about is I don't know if this format that is being portrayed here, just looking at the decks, not even at the size of the event, but not even looking at the size of the event or the number of players, or, well, that is the size of the event, or like the location or anything. We don't have a pie chart here, but we have like the only deck I see multiple times here is I see a bunch of Kashtira. I see 4 Sprites. And I see 3 Naturia Runics. And I see nothing else that is there multiple times. Also, notably, there is no Despia. I mean, chances are that some people... we don't have every deck, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 are missing. So only like roughly a third of the decks are missing. Which means there could definitely be some Despia. But for now, no Despias. Gunther also played Naturia Runic, so there's 4 Naturia Runic. Okay, so far we know what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Kashtiras, 4 Naturia Runics, 4 Sprites. And then 1 Salad, 1 Plunder, 1 Labyrinth, 1 Flunder, 1 Eldritch, 1 Dragon Link, 1 Tirishizu. Dot Kuro, thank you for the Prime. Welcome back. 4 months already. Appreciate that. Thank you. And JSW, 6 months. Appreciate you a lot as well. Thank you. Okay, so I actually do have a video coming up today, which I recorded 2 days ago. It was being edited, which is me. It was actually off stream, so none of you have seen it before. It's not something I prepared on stream. It is me talking about the current metagame and whether I like it or not. And I'm gonna publish that right as we end stream today. Right as we end stream, I'm gonna give you guys the link to that. And I personally don't want this format to turn out in a way where it's like last year's Nationals again. And a lot of people have already made that comparison to last year's Nationals format, where there was so many different decks and you didn't really know what to expect. And this YCS kind of looks like that. Right? It kind of looks like that. And let me just tell you why I didn't like that format, which is not, it doesn't really spoiler much of the video that I'm posting today. But a lot of people in Yu-Gi-Oh! Always, they like those diverse formats. They are like, I'm super happy when there's 8 different decks in top 8. And I understand those people as well. I understand the people that like diversity because it makes up for a more interesting tournament experience for them when they don't play against the same deck over and over and over again. Right? So I can understand why a lot of people like that. But let me tell you why a lot of competitive players don't like that. The reason is very plain and simple. As someone who's very competitive about the game and wants to do as well as possible, right? We want to prepare for events and make sure we do well. And what happens when the format is too diverse is at some point when there's too many different decks that people play, you lose the ability to properly prepare for an event because you don't know what to expect. And that's not good from a good player's perspective, because you want to make sure that you know what to expect, choose your deck accordingly, practice the matchups that matter, and then build your deck in a way that it can combat the format that you understand, right? I don't understand why that's such a big deal. I mean, well, I just explained it, and I don't think I can explain it much better. Because it is just physically, it's not possible to build a deck that beats everything in a super diverse format. Because if there was a deck that has an answer to everything, then we would not have a diverse format. You can't prepare expecting... You can expect some variance, but not too much. It's okay if it's like 3 or 4 different decks, but if it's like 10, you can't. Like, if you had a deck that could beat everything, then we would not have a diverse format. You know what I mean? How do you prepare for a diverse format? That's the problem. It's hard. It's like almost impossible. Like, you just try all the decks and see if something works better than other stuff, but it's very hard. Like, I'll give you an example. Last year's German Nationals was a format where everything was kind of viable, nothing was great, right? There was this like adventure portion of the format where there was like a bunch of adventure decks, like adventure, Scythelock, whatever, Eldritch, Drytron, Fluanderies, Sword Soul, Despia, even Libromancer was kind of viable. There was like Dragon Link, Punktherion, and I ended up playing at German Nationals day 1, 8 rounds of Swiss or 9 rounds of Swiss. I played 8 different decks. There was only one deck that I played twice, which was Sword Soul. Every other deck I played one random copy of. And it is simply not reasonable to prepare for that many different decks. It's just playing roulette. It's just basically playing roulette because you have no idea what to prepare for. And like by definition, if we have a diverse format, there is no solution that beats everything. You always have to make you always have to make some sort of decision on what to focus on. And the more different decks there are, the less likely you are to be correct. So it's basically just gambling, right? There is it is not my spreadsheet, actually. I didn't say that today. It is this spreadsheet is managed by a person called Septo, which you will find all the links here. You can go ! Spreadsheet and you'll get the link to it. Yeah, and that's basically it in terms of why variety is not only a good thing, right? But keep in mind, I do understand why some people prefer it that way. I'm just telling you my perspective as someone who is trying to competitively prepare for an event. The better I can estimate what I'm expecting, the better I can prepare, and that makes it a little bit more skillful, right, in terms of preparation. But I understand where people are coming from that like diverse formats as well, right? It makes it more diverse, and some people like that, not playing against the same stuff over and over again. So it's, yeah, I think there's also a level to, like, I do think that, for example, Ishizu tier, which was basically the complete other end of an extreme, which was like basically only Ishizu tier, like some others, but like basically only one good deck. I can understand why that also does get stale for me after a while, right? That also gets stale. I think there's a healthy middle ground, though. I think there is the possibility for a healthy middle ground where, like, for example, I really enjoyed Sprite and Tearlament format before Ishizu cards. Like, I think having Sprite as one contender and then Tearlament as another contender, but then you also had to prepare for, like, you know, there was like Rika a little bit and a little bit of Branded Bistio, a little bit of Fluanderies, but for the most part, it was like Sprite and Tier, and then some Rogue. That was fine. I really enjoyed that. That was okay. That was not super narrow. There was not only one or two decks. It was like 2 decks plus a few. That was cool. I enjoyed that. It was definitely possible to prepare for those formats, those tournaments. But it wasn't super narrow or diverse. It was kind of like the middle ground that I kind of like. And for this current format, I guess we have to see how it develops, right? Does it go more into the, because we're currently basically at the we're at the pathway where we have to decide, or like not we have to decide, but like it's going to be decided whether the format will be seen as, hey, these 2 or 3 decks are better than the others, so we're going to play more of these now, right? We're going to focus on these types of decks as a community, right? It's not like something that each individual decides, but like as a community, we might go into the direction of like, okay, Kashtira is good enough, so we are moving to Kashtira as the best deck in the format, and then everything else revolves around that. Or, based on current results, we could also go into the direction of like, seems like nothing is good enough, so everyone just plays whatever they want, and then it becomes super diverse. And I don't know exactly where we're headed yet. I don't know where exactly we are headed yet with this format, but I do think it could go either way. But, yeah. That's that. And I do think, chat, that's all I prepared for today. I know it's early, but I told you earlier that I would have to leave earlier today because we have a guest over at the house. I'll be back tomorrow at the normal time, full time, all the good stuff. I know it's early. I'm sorry. But we are going to end it here. I hope you enjoyed, even though it was shorter. I hope you enjoyed, even though it was a little bit of a shorter stream. I don't even know who to raid, because I don't think Farfa is live yet. Hold up. Just tuned in, Rip. I'm sorry. If you enjoyed the stream, if you enjoyed this little bit of a stream, I do this every day. Don't worry. I will be back. Soon enough. And just follow the stream, and I'll be back tomorrow. Let me pick someone to raid. I'll send you guys over to send Poppy. Sure, why not? And I hope you enjoyed the stream, even though it was shorter. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I will hopefully see you guys tomorrow. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you for all the follows. Thank you a lot for all the subs. I appreciate the support. And bye-bye, everybody. Peace. Thanks for watching. See you. Also, YouTube video in a bit. I forgot to give you the link, but it'll be posted on my Discord and everything. Just exclamation mark YouTube. Hey, bye-bye.